everybody, I'm Rob Wright with TwitchGuru.com, and this is my associate editor, Travis Meacham. We're here to discuss God of War 2. We have a little video review for you. And Travis and I kind of have a different opinion of God of War 2, and we're just going to go through it kind of point by point. And I guess the first point, Travis, is that you like the game a little bit better, maybe a lot better than I did. I had conflicted feelings about it.
I like the game a lot. Yeah, it's one of the best games I've played in a while.
Because you're a fanboy.
I suppose I could be considered a fanboy of the God of War series, yes.
I am a fanboy too. I mean, you know that I love God of War. It's one of my favorite console games ever. I think it's fantastic. My problem with God of War 2 was that it had the same type of graphics and visuals as the first game, but there wasn't enough, I guess, new stuff, and I don't know. It just didn't really grab me and excite me like the first one. But you really liked all the scope of it, the scale of it.
I like the scale quite a bit. What I like about, I mean, the God of War games do video game big very well. Like the first game opened with the tutorial on the boats with the water, and that's, sadly, that's one of the better boss fights in the whole game.
Yeah.
Second God of War has the Colossus of Rhodes that you're, fighting for the entire first level, which also acts as a tutorial. But, that's one of the better parts of the game as well. But that kind of scale you don't see in other video games as much as I'd like.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I really enjoyed that first boss battle. I mean, the Colossus was awesome. I thought it was great. I thought it was everything that God of War was and God of War 2 should be. Because my problem was, the scale was amazing, the scope was amazing, the visuals was amazing. But then you get into the game and it felt like it was a bit of an expansion pack type content, going from new boss battle to new boss battle. You're facing the same enemies, the same sirens and gorgons and cyclops that you did in the first game, and you kill the minotaurs the same way, and it kind of got old for me after a while.
Yeah, I mean, the enemies and animations are all the same, but a lot of that has to do with, I guess, being on the same hardware. I mean, God of War 2 was announced for PS2. Everyone was kind of disappointed because PS3 was going to be out by then. But, and I don't mind the enemies being the same because, to me, that's kind of the inhabitants of that world. If they threw in new kinds of enemies, it might not feel like a God of War game as much, If there's new enemies that are not in the same, sort of world as the Greek mythology, it may not feel like a mythological game.
Okay, I think you're crazy, but that's okay. We can move on to another point. There was some interesting, new elements to the gameplay, flying on Pegasus and the air combat and the Icarus wings and stuff like that. But, one of the things I thought was lacking in the game was the weapons and the spells. I mean, that was something that really got me with the first game. And the second game, you got, two of the same spells that you had before, and the hammer and the spear. I mean, did you honestly use those once?
I tried to use them.
You tried, but you didn't.
But I didn't. I never upgraded them.
Yeah.
To me, the God of War games are about, they're the Blades of Chaos, which are turned into the Athena Blades in the second game.
Right.
So that's where I put all of my investments. I upgraded them all the way, and I use them throughout most of the game.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
But the spells, I mean, be honest, what did you think of them? I was impressed.
They weren't visually impressive. The only one that I found really useful was the Atlas. Whatever the
that was useful, but it wasn't very.
But it wasn't very cool.
Yeah, it wasn't very cool. Typhon's Bane was awesome when you were able to get up to a certain point and create the whirlwind and everything. That was awesome.
But it was it. It was a ranged weapon, and you had the lightning bolts in the first God of War.
Yeah.
That was the range.
And that was it. It didn't have the richness for me. So.
But I didn't use the spells probably as much as I should have. I always just opted for the old school beat 'em down.
Right. Because you're probably better at the game than I am. That's okay.
If you're gonna go spells and go easy mode,
I did not play it easy. I played it. No, I didn't. I played it hard. I did not play it Spartan or God, whatever you did, because I wanted to actually get through it to review it, to bring these fine people, the video review. So, what's the next point? Sex minigame.
Oh yeah.
You got to talk about that, right?
Well, yeah. I guess
lame.
Yeah. Well.
Come on.
As minigames go, yes.
That was lame.
I don't think video games need three-way sex interactive minigames.
But not only that, but the first one was kind of a novelty because you hadn't seen something like that in many games, and all right, whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't the end all be all, but you know, you go through it and boom, you're.
Well, and it should be known that it's not a requirement. You can very easily go through the entire game.
You
and
did
never
miss
see
it. I had to tell you about it.
I missed it.
And then I had to show you all the video from it.
Yeah, all the video.
Yeah, and you kept watching it again and again. But anyway, seriously, the sex minigame is like, to me, it was just like, it was a waste of time. It was raunchy, and it was taking a game with the content was very rich, and the story was very good. And they threw in like this Porky's joke. I mean, the statue, this little statue peeing, and the stream gets bigger and bigger the further that Kratos gets with these two.
Yeah, it's
these two harlots.
It's a little lowbrow.
These two harlots. He's in a battle for his life with Colossus, and he's off having. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
just let him.
I'm not sure that, sadly, that's probably going to be a staple of the God of War series. I imagine you will see that.
I have no idea what they're going to do in PS3.
In every God of War game.
For number 3, yeah, but it'll probably be very realistic. Last thing, we got to talk about the grades that we gave this game. We don't normally review games, but, you know, we did this review, and we're talking back and forth about what we would grade it. I said B+. You said?
I said A.
Yeah, and you're crazy. Because God of War, both you and I give God of War the original an A, yes. Straight A.
Yeah.
Not quite perfect, but about as good as you can get for a console game. Classic, God of War, awesome. Mm-hmm. You're going to give God of War the same game, the same grade.
God of War 2.
God of War 2.
Well, because I think that it improves on some things that bothered me a little bit about the first God of War. So it's a little bit better in that respect, but it didn't have the sort of wow factor that the first one had. So that's why they kind of equate. You said yourself they're almost the same game. The second game is almost an expansion to the first one, so why not give it?
Right, but that's the whole point, because when you keep playing a game that is the same as the first one's already done that, then you lose some of that edge and you lose some of that excitement. And it's not like playing, like Half-Life, and 6 years later you get Half-Life 2. You got the gravity gun, you got new enemies, you got new territories, and it just feels different. It's new and exciting. God of War 2, to me, maybe it was just the fact that it was 2 years after God of War and there wasn't enough time. I don't know. But to me, it just didn't have that edge, and I can't give it an A. You can't give it an A. I demand that you take your grade down.
I don't know. I mean,
it's an A-.
It's got a lot of those moments where, you're just completely blown away by everything that's happening on the screen. A-.
So I'm your boss. So you can't fight this.
So you give God of War an A and God of War 2 an A-. How about that? I'll demote it to an A-.
We'll discuss it another time. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Wright.
I'm Travis Meacham.
Thanks for watching the Twitch Guru review of God of War 2.